Welcome to This Week in the Simulacrum, where we bring you weekly dispatches from Hyperreality. My name is MJ Corey, and this week, a reality TV villain ran for mayor of Los Angeles, promising to make the city camera-ready again. But the revolution did not make it to television.
The revolution will not be televised. That was about the fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind.
A cage fight is going up on the White House lawn for the president's 80th birthday, and he might want to leave the octagon there permanently. And Kim Kardashian chose the Monaco Grand Prix, the most televised, sponsored, and aesthetically perfect sporting event on the planet, to hard launch her boyfriend. He lost the race, but she won the weekend. Is that good?
Very good.
Finally, Aaron Sorkin dropped the trailer for his Social Network sequel, raising the question, is the most appropriate response to the world we're living in now a movie about how we got here? Let's get into it. So, Spencer Pratt, the early aughts villain from The Hills, which, by the way, I never actually saw, ran for mayor of Los Angeles and actually gained a lot of momentum. He and Heidi Montag, his wife, really embraced the fact that they were situated as villains on The Hills and that they were viewed as people that were willing to embrace the stigma of wanting to be famous. They published a book called How to Be Famous, Our Guide to Looking the Part, Playing the Press, and Becoming a Tabloid Fixture in 2009. The 2025 Palisades fire, which genuinely devastated so much of LA, destroyed his home and his parents' home, and so he transitioned this experience into civic advocacy about his concerns with the problems that Los Angeles was facing. He announced his mayoral run on the 1-year anniversary of the fires. This is everything about his playbook was following the Trump playbook. These memorable dates, or in Trump's case, he announced his bid for presidency on the golden staircase of one of his properties, attaching these big moments in a political campaign to things that will stick out for public memory. And that transition from reality TV stardom is actually really natural for politics, which I think Trump has taught us. Reality TV is so much about the participants serving as representational characters that you can either identify with or identify with through opposition to them. That's what politics is. It is figures that are meant to be representational for their constituencies and watching them interact and clash and fight.
We speak of political figures as representing us in some way. We don't probably say that very often these days because we may not think they represent us very well, but they're sort of supposed to represent us. And in that sense, they stand in for us. They are our representatives. Where we can't be, they can be. So the notion of something which images and depicts and that which stands in for something else, both of those ideas are kind of brought together in the notion of representation.
Spencer was always positioned as a villain, so he's comfortable with playing the role of disruptor and being disliked, which I think you have to be willing to do to jump into politics. He was endorsed by some big people like Joe Rogan, Paris Hilton, a bunch of billionaires, and then he also, as his campaign gained more momentum, became this figure where people could be superior to what he was saying or doing.
Yeah. Rogan just endorsed him. I mean,
oh, Rogan, the great mind
I know.
of the universe. Rogan. Idiot.
I think that there's a big peril in dismissing people as just reality stars. Many of these populist candidates are running on public resentments. So we need to understand what is going on in the public, what needs are not being met that makes people willing to embrace these outsider candidates. It usually speaks to a failure on the part of establishment politicians.
Karen Bass is not doing anything. She's been bullshitting us. Haven't had a good mayor in a long time. But when you said the mental is the problem in drugs, because the people don't want to be down there. My daughter is schizophrenia and she's on crystal meth. So that hit home. So if you're going to do that, you got my vote. And
that's what interests me about Spencer's bid for mayor. It seemed like he was going to be entering the runoff with Karen Bass, and then very suddenly Nithya Raman overtook the race. Now she's going to be in the runoff, and a lot of people are now claiming election fraud, and Trump is egging on that feeling in people. And now people are left to try to make sense of what was this with Spencer running and how well he did for a while. I think it's always important to look beyond the circus of it and really understand what it's telling us about what people feel they need. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been space for an outsider candidate to gain so much momentum. So this one actually managed to even surprise me, but perhaps something like this was inevitable. Trump is investing in a $60 million UFC fight on the South Lawn of the White House. It's going to be called UFC Freedom 250. It's going to be for his 80th birthday. It's going to happen on June 14th. So by the time you're watching this, it may have already happened or it's about to happen. This is believed to be the first professional sporting event ever held at the White House. I recently made a roundup video, and I'd actually even prefer that you go read my Substack article about the lineage of presidents using the White House as a narrative medium and as a site of spectacle, starting with Andrew Jackson. The point is, this is fighting. This is fighting happening on the White House lawn. And you guys are gonna hate to hear me compare this to something that everyone loves on our side of the internet. But okay, so there's gonna be seating for 5,000 people on the South Lawn, but then there's gonna be free tickets for up to 85,000 on the park beyond the White House with jumbo screens. That kind of reminds me of that amazing episode recently on Hacks where Jean Smart gives away free tickets to see her perform in Central Park to break a record. It's this power to the people thing of making an event that is meant to make an icon feel as accessible as possible. And the construction of this octagon has been underway for months. And literally this past week, Trump compared the construction of this octagon to the Eiffel Tower.
That in Paris, France, the Eiffel Tower, 1889 it was built. It was supposed to be taken down immediately after the World's Fair. And then they said, we sort of like it. Let's leave it up a little bit longer. And then they said, let's leave it up longer and longer and longer. Well, they never took it down. And, we're building something in front of the White House that's quite attractive to a lot of people. It's going to have the big UFC fight on June 14th. And I'm looking at it and maybe we'll never, ever take it down.
Versus outraging people, and that's its own discourse. And it would really speak well to the Trump presidency. So much of his administration has been about divisiveness and the left and the right fighting. A federal lawsuit was even filed to block the event. But again, you have to look at the history of presidents using the White House as media has evolved in different ways to communicate their messaging as presidents and to make people feel like they have more access to power and closeness to them as presidents. So we'll see how this fight goes. I think it's going to be studied in media theory books to come. Hopefully one day I'll be one of those writing some of them. All right, now Kim at the Grand Prix. I know a lot of you want me to speak to this. I don't really know what there is to say about it besides the fact that Kim Kardashian hard launched her relationship with the F1 athlete Lewis Hamilton on June 1st on her Instagram after months of speculation about whether they were dating. She attended on June 7th with her sister Chloe, supporting Hamilton. He finished second. He was beaten by a 19-year-old Italian driver, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. That's gonna make people believe in the Kardashian curse a little bit again, maybe. People were analyzing what she was wearing in the paddock. I learned from Esme Buxton, who runs a journal about F1 and its relationship to fashion, that the paddock is almost its own runway for fashion statements.
The paddock area is very exclusive. You need a pass to get in. There's only so many passes that get given out. You can purchase a pass. I think it's $5,000 to $6,000. Like it's, So for Kim to be in there, that is like the creme de la creme of, of access really for anything.
I actually expected Kim to hard launch Lewis Hamilton as her boyfriend at the Met Gala. I suppose it's notable that she actually waited to hard launch the relationship on his domain, on his turf. Feels again like this sort of Kardashian women deference that they show the men in their lives to not come off as too ruthless or too powerful. Finally, I'm excited about this one. The full public trailer for The Social Reckoning by Aaron Sorkin dropped June 10th. It's a companion piece sequel to The Social Network, which came out in 2010, about Mark Zuckerberg's creation of Facebook, which obviously Facebook changed and defined to this whole era that we're in now. The original Social Network was about the creation of Facebook and all the drama of its debut to the world. This one is going to be about the 2021 Facebook files leak, when a Facebook engineer plays whistleblower to a tech journalist, leading to the uncovering of a bunch of Facebook secrets, including how data was being used and how divisiveness was being fostered on the platform and the impact it was having on young people's mental health. I'm excited because you guys know I never really reveal when I'm a fan of something. I like to really manage when I share fandom within myself and parasocial connections to the media I consume. But I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Strong, so I'm excited to see him play this big role.
Now, Mark Zuckerberg, tell me, how do you even begin to play Mark Zuckerberg?
You know, I'm approaching it the way I approach everything else, with empathy, with objectivity, with care.
It's really important to me that the public understands the harms and risks of social media. I think it's become cliche to be this hand-wringing alarmist about social media, but I don't care. I care very much about what these algorithms are doing to us, and I want their impact to be exposed. And I think to dramatize the uncovering of these files, which I think actually really are like the tip of the iceberg, is important because it will bring more people into the story of all this. Movies make myths out of moments that may have otherwise been too complex or just lost in the news cycle for people to sit with and understand. That said, the people making these movies have a lot of power to encode the narratives with the ideologies that may serve them or that they want to be out there, especially with big media like real blockbuster movies that actually have a real chance of still being seen even as the film industry decays. I'm really interested in seeing how this movie comes out. And I also think it's a message to these tech billionaires. I've been on like a million podcasts now promoting my book, saying that I think the next frontier of celebrity is going to be tech billionaires kind of Kardashifying their images to humanize themselves and make their tools more relatable to us as they normalize them and addict us to them. But I also think seeing big movies made of people as if they're dead, these tech billionaires who very much understand the ways that their technologies are shaping the day-to-day of the plebes like us, are even seeing that big budget movies are being made about, and at least right now, Zuckerberg in real time while they're still living. So I think there was already a social media agenda to figure out how to shape their myths. But I think there is an idea too of understanding people are going to be telling our stories. How can we start shaping the narrative now? I think that Brian Johnson is doing kind of a good job there's a weird self-awareness that he's doing something very high camp with his like narrativizing of his relationship with Kate, and he's almost like in on the joke. He's doing it in a different way. I don't feel like he's trying to be cool. I think he knows that we all think he's a nerd, and like he's like some billionaire that is, I don't even know what his technology is, but he's told a story about himself, about his pursuit of youth.
That wants to he's made himself like apparently younger.
Yes.
He makes like all those decisions that made by like science.
So think about that, that the myth of Brian Johnson or Johnston or whatever precedes even whatever his product is. We know he's rich and he's like selling, let's see, what is it?
He's literally like an experiment where he's basically like living a life according to the most efficient way of doing things.
Okay, so he's a tech entrepreneur. He's a founder of something called Kernel. It's a non-invasive neuroimaging system, but that's the point. I'm very interested in keeping up more with what these billionaires are doing and how they're shaping their images. I didn't actually know what his business was. I know the stories that he's choosing to tell on his body. And he's live tweeting his relationship with this younger woman that he's dating with these ridiculous scenarios, like taking photos from her. There was something with reproductive health that she was dealing with, and he was like live tweeting that together as this act of devotion. He's supporting her through this medical thing it's its own reality TV told through social media. And so he's famous as one of the tech billionaires, like personifying himself, and he's doing it in a way that is in on the joke. But the Bezoses are totally trying to be Kardashian-esque. The point is, I think that these tech billionaires whose products are really ingratiated in how we live are going to see movies like Aaron Sorkin's and think, that could happen to me in this timeline. Let me exaggerate the things about my myth that I want the public to try to make sense of or to aestheticize or narrativize. Does that make sense?
Isn't it what Napoleon did in his lifetime, where he would make them paint portraits of him that looked way better and more good looking?
There you go. Okay, my partner behind the camera just pointed out that Napoleon did this. He would have artists render portraits of him that made him look more good looking and probably taller.
Taller.
Yeah, and probably taller than he really was. That's what I think this is. That's really good. Thank you. That's why you're my producer. I think it does speak to a certain kind of growing media literacy, even as it also shrinks at the same time, I think, in the public. that we understand that we need to learn how to understand these people more fully. But the tech billionaires also understand that as we're more interested in them as a class, that they have to exaggerate things, caricature themselves, amplify certain parts of their stories to manage that narrative. So the thing that we had with the Kardashians through the 2010s, we are forming with the tech billionaires, and we should just be aware of that. That said, we'll see what this movie is like and how it does in depicting the story of this time for Facebook, because a lot of people do require dramatization and narrative to really understand these kinds of uncoverings. So thanks for watching. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's my quote from The Truman Show.